In October 2014, Keshe Foundation achieved a breakthrough in the world of science through the achievement of creating the highest magnetic field ever in human history of 129 Tesla. To give you a better idea of what this means, in 2015, Florida State University was able to produce a magnetic field of only 45 Tesla. Even today on Google, they say that 45 Tesla is the strongest magnetic field ever produced. They do this with huge machines that cost millions to build, and they don't tell you how many power stations it takes to provide the electricity. Whereas in the plasma experiment, it only costs a few thousand to build the reactors. And interesting enough is that it doesn't require electricity to create the plasma fields. The electricity is only used to run the motors to rotate the reactors. The goal of this experiment was to share the new plasma science with the whole of humanity. So a Zoom channel was formed where people from around the world could come in on a daily basis to monitor the progress, and it was done live. In effect, the whole planet was involved in sharing this knowledge. It took several weeks to build up the plasma and magnetic fields. The measurements were done using specifically designed sensors, which were later sent to the manufacturers in laboratories in Switzerland to test their accuracy. A full-scale report came back showing that the sensors were in perfect condition and the 129 Tesla measurements were correct. How it was done. There were 3 star formations used, and they were configured in such a way that one of the star formations became the feeder of the weaker ones. Now remember, in the universe, the stronger plasma always feeds the weaker plasma to make it equal with itself. Using this principle, Mr. Keshe in a way tricked the plasma into continuously feeding the weaker one. He did this by shielding the receiving star formation into not letting it release its fields back to the feeder reactor. Therefore, it continued to build up the magnetic fields. Because this feeder was not receiving signals back, it kept sending and building up the plasma. That's how we were able to reach 129 Tesla. We used the true knowledge of creation, and this is what today's experiment is also about. For detailed information about this experiment, see the article in Plasma Times edition number 5.
what we did in the Sensano, for you, if you're here before, we put a system of star formation, which still exists, with another system here, with another system which was covered. Let me go to a thicker line that you can see it. So the plasma from the GANS materials created a field. There were four, a full star formation here, a full star formation here. This set of star formation were covered with a balanced magnetic field shield, which means everything was at the weakest. It absorbed most of it. So in this trying to feed this and returning back, it was trying to feed more and more. The more it fed, the less got back, so it was feeding it more, because this blanket with the heartbeat inside was absorbing everything more or less. But this was aware of existence because the internal field could detect the magnetical of this according to gravitation of this one. So the plasma was feeding, is literally you doing, jumping in the water trying to rescue a child, you go faster and faster trying to reach. So this system in feeding, it went on the switch of feeding more and more and more, trying to get, but this blanketing system was absorbing most of the fields, and in that way dissipating very little of it. This way was Tesla, this way was Miles. It could see this, but it could not see this part, so it was feeding more. Our detectors were here, we could see the motion of the field. In that process, we used only the 4 motors. I think altogether we used 12 watt of energy. Just rotating these, and the plasma emission created that, what was needed. And this narrowed, tamed the fields, and this absorbed the fields. And then what we saw was trying to feed more, in a way seeing a drowned child, but he wasn't drowned, he was standing on a beach in a way if you look at it, but to him was getting drowned, doing all what I call frustrated work to get releasing more and more. This increased the flow. That's how we achieved. Nothing done. This 12 watts was just trying to get the, what you call, the 4 reactors running inside. This is designed by Arman. This setup still is in archive. We have it in its own assembly. It's still there. So we can repeat it. In here, we had partially the Iranian reactors. In here we had another part of the Iranian reactors. And each one had 1 reactors inside. And it's beautiful the way it's done. And when we say we created with 12, because as the guy said, new materials, we discovered the power of plasma through GANs. Now we know it, we have tested it. Now it should be very easy, especially for those people in Chinese space program. Go back into 129, you should be able to achieve lift. But replace the ganses with the plasma power of the neutron plasma. This should be achievable in a very, very easy way. And this is what happened. 129, it was a point we had to stop terrorists. That was actually after I was poisoned. And then we had to ban them to be in the center and the rest of it. It was very interesting when we were running these tests, Arman can tell you and the other ones who were, this is part of it's in the building, and we had fluorescent lights. And at nights we used to stand and watch, because there was so much fields that the fields of the plasma used to bring the lights on. We used to, you go to North Pole to see aurora. We had our own show every night in the what do you call it, in the lab. We used to switch up and wait for it, because it cannot come on if there was no field. And after a while, when the fields, we switched everything else and the field was there, and it dies off, we stand there a few minutes and then that's it, we used to go. It was what we call late night sky show. This is the same principle as Tesla. When he shows the fluorescent light in the magnetic field, Now we had it. It was beautiful to see it every night before we switch off. And if one day wouldn't do, say, oh my God, we didn't do good enough, we didn't create enough plasma.